I'll fucking count them. and there's the intro.
Every time we have that as our intro, back. That was a perfect intro, though. That's funny.
Fuck. Anyway, welcome to the High Rollers podcast. I'm Colton, and I'm with my co-host Devin.
Hey, what's up?
Annie.
Hi.
Zach.
How's it going?
Cade.
Howdy ho.
Buddy.
What's up, man?
Tanner.
Hi.
And Matt.
Hello.
Fuck you, man.
Fucking Matt. God damn it. I really hope that's not just like a reoccurring thing.
Oh, it's going to be.
So kind of some backstory about High Rollers. We're going to go over the story of when the group kind of first met up, and then onto another night when more people started to get into this group. So who wants to start this one off? Because it started with what? Devin messaging Annie one night out of the blue,
it was
right?
Devin messaging us,
Yeah.
and I was hanging out with Annie.
Yeah.
Like, that's when we first started hanging out.
Essentially, some hoe that doesn't need to be named for unknown reasons was sleeping with Devin, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go do some coke over at my friend's house," and I was like, "I know who you're talking about." So I called Devin, and he answers the phone, and he's like, "Hey," and I was like, "Yo, bitch, are you doing coke at your house tonight?" And he was like, because I don't do coke, never have. I've done drugs for a little while, but have never ever said that I was going to. And he's just like, and I was like, "'Cause I'm gonna come over." And he was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sure, that'd be cool." And I was like, "And I have people with me. When are you ready?" And he was like, "I don't know, just whenever." Like, I think 7. I think it was 7. Initially,
It was kind of funny though, because I was like, "Nah, I don't know if I'd ever really try coke." And then that night I get a message, "You want to do coke?" I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, I'll do coke." And she goes, "We were literally just talking that you'd probably never try it."
he also walked through the door saying, "I'm not gonna snort it."
And then I started it. So,
We smoke our cocaine in this house.
Completely threw me off. I had no clue all this was happening. When you guys showed up at the house, I thought we were just all hanging out at the house for the night. Just me, Devin, and Katie. And then, boom, all of a sudden, just a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot.
But it was like we've all hung out before.
Yeah.
Like, I had a party house, and Devin would come over and hang out, and, like, we all had parties over there. So it was weird, because we were, like, linked before, but never close friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't actually, like, all party as one group. It was just kind of people here and there. Because I know I wasn't at any of those.
No.
Not during that time. Like, that was the first moment that we were all at the same place at the same time for a party.
Yeah.
So.
We
Pretty-
waited for, like, ever, though, for that one kid to show up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause it hit till, like, 11 o'clock before we started, and we showed up at, like, 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just got
Yeah,
trashed
that's
with
was
some
smoking
dabs.
the entire time.
Yeah, that's why Matt didn't do any that night.
He
Because he
felt
got.
greened
Yeah,
out.
he greened out.
Fucking Matt.
That's pussy ass shit, man.
It
That
was.
happened again.
How was that, Matt? I've literally never grained out on weed before.
Neither have I. It threw me off because we were all sitting there in the room and someone bless you. Someone was like, "Hey, so aren't we missing someone? I feel like we're missing somebody." We all just kind of look around. I was like, yeah, the one guy, the guy that showed up with the fucking rhubarb in his mouth."
Yeah! I was like, "Matt?"
And so
Yeah.
I go out there all coked out, and I'm like tapping on his window. I was like, "Matt, you want to do some coke?" And he's like, "I just want to sleep, man." And he's
Yeah.
just sleeping in his car.
Well, when everyone was asking, I like walked out to the living room and he wasn't out there, so I kind of like peeked my head outside to see if there was maybe less cars, and I just saw the dome light in his car on, and he was just sitting out there at the end of the driveway, and I'm just like, huh.
You were out there for hours.
He was out there for like an hour before anybody realized he was gone.
So he
Like
missed
I
out on
said,
that
I'm
fun
good
night.
at disappearing.
Oh my god.
He missed out on that fun night.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it was a very interesting
Why'd
night.
you duck out? Fell asleep.
Man,
Oh,
He got- yeah, he got
greened
sick.
out.
He took a snake.
I took way too big of a slip.
It was a solid snake.
Yeah, it was a fatty.
Did you feel like you were gonna throw up?
Yeah. So I was just leaving, just like, okay, sleep so I don't throw up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I've never managed to green out either. I've never smoked to that point. Usually I hit a point in my high where I'm just like, yeah, nah, it's going to be pointless from here on out. I'm just going to be wasting
I'm
it.
that way now.
You definitely reach a threshold. Like, there's definitely a point where you're just like, I'm pretty good, but like, I can't really get any higher. I mean, if you like smoke on the daily, which, you know, I've done that for about a year with dabs, it just fucking ruins your tolerance.
Yeah.
Some sad boy shit, man. I wish I could get wrecked like I used to.
I know. I had such a high tolerance to weed before I joined the Guard, and then didn't smoke for that like 2 full years. I got so trashed when we smoked that night when I broke up with my ex.
I remember
Was that when we went in my pickup truck?
No, we smoked in my garage.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit,
yeah. And we,
Truck.
yeah, we smoked that one bowl, and I felt like I had just smoked like 6.
Yeah.
It was fucking ridiculous.
Because I was in the same boat. I hadn't smoked for like 2 years when I joined the military. And then I smoked that one night and was just obliterated. Which is funny because Colton and I had met way before in the military because we were both in the National Guard together. Don't ever join, it sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it's
1-800
definitely for
not a scam.
I mean, it definitely is for some people, but it was not for me. I couldn't do it.
Not for people that like good stuff that's illegal.
Yeah,
0 out of 10, not even remotely like Call of Duty.
well, and it's just so strict for no reason whatsoever. I mean, some of the rules that sound kind of stupid after they explain it, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, you can have a mustache, but you can't have a beard. But that's because then your gas mask can't seal. Makes sense. But they would just have these, like, stupid, obnoxious rules while we were at these drills that was just miserable for no reason whatsoever.
Every drill was so stressful. Like you'd get in trouble for not doing something, even though everyone was unorganized and didn't have anything for us to do.
Exactly. I remember once we got in a huge amount of trouble because one kid didn't have like his face completely fully shaved.
Oh god.
He had just like a couple whiskers. So they lined everybody up and they had someone walk by and like stare like an inch from your face looking for the tiniest of stubble. And if they saw the tiniest of stubble on your chin, you joined the group that was getting smoked. So while everybody else was eating their lunch, you were sitting there doing squats and all kinds of shit while carrying what looks like an M16 out in front of you that's just completely made of rubber.
Dude, that fucking sucks, especially for like the people who have like a shitload of facial hair, because like there's times where I shave and I'll be like, fuck, like I missed a spot. It's really easy to do that, and you know,
Oh yeah.
I spend a lot of time on my shit, so like that fucking sucks.
Oh yeah, it was terrible, especially because when I wasn't in the Guard, I wouldn't really ever shave my face because I always hated to do it, but when I would go to the drills, I would have to shave, and if I forgot to bring a razor, I was fucked. Because there was no way I was going to be able to hide it.
Yeah, even like the electric razors, like they'll leave it down to a stubble, and I imagine you can't have stubble, right?
No, not the tiniest little bit of stubble. If they can see even a black dot, it counts.
Good fucking
Me having no
grief.
facial hair, I had a military face though, so I never, even in basic where they check you every day, I only had to shave every 3 days, and like they still couldn't see it because all my hair is just blonde.
See, and I have to shave every day. It was stupid because we shaved that morning and then they chewed us out later in the day. So a lot of guys, they just grew that stubble back that quick. Because some dudes will grow facial hair just obscenely quick like that. Yeah, exactly. So then they were getting in trouble for it, and it's just like, what the hell? That's not our fault. We can't control how fast our beard grows in. You know? So...
Man,
Judging someone for their genetics sounds a lot like racism, man.
man, to be honest though, I had to smoke pot just to deal with the anxiety of going to drills because it was just, you didn't want to go. So the whole lead up to it, like having to be like clean yourself, so you have to be clean like 2 weeks before you go.
Yeah.
And then you just no pot, and you're like, fuck man, I have to go to drill this weekend. It just sucked. I hated it.
I thought about military life for a bit, and then I'm just like,
It wasn't
nah.
worth
It's I don't know. It's such a huge commitment.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like honestly, it would probably be better if you like went to like a full branch, like where like
Active
that was like
duty,
your life,
yeah.
because like
the military definitely is like a lifestyle, and it definitely is for some people, and a lot of people seek satisfaction, and that's fantastic for them. But I don't know, like if you can immerse yourself in that lifestyle, maybe you would enjoy it more, or
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it would suck more cock. Who knows? Like,
Well, when it becomes the only thing it's a lot easier to tolerate. When it's in the Guard, it's kind of hard because you have to deal with that military life for such a short amount of time, unless you get deployed. But that short amount of time is just enough to, like, just irritate you because most of your time is spent in a civilian setting.
But so that night was really just us doing the coke. It wasn't really that eventful. Like, we just kind of partied and, like, had fun.
I don't know about you,
I
but
guess I don't really remember it.
I had a pretty rough night
Yeah,
going
that's
on
fine.
because even you guys left around like
Oh, true. We did leave early.
you guys left around like 2.
Oh, God, that's
and
right.
Caden left around 4.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
And we continued to go on for that entire time. I tried to go to bed to go to work the next morning. Couldn't go to sleep, and finally at 6:30, like I was like, every time I shut my eyes, I wanted to puke. So I just like got up and I laid by the toilet, and I just went. I was just like, if I'm gonna puke, I'm gonna puke. But I'm going to bed next to the toilet. And so, yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah, that's right. Because
I got like 10 minutes of sleep.
Damn.
Yeah,
just do it on the rail.
Oh, dude, it scared me because I woke up that next morning, since usually I'm the one that actually wakes up to his alarm, to wake up Devin and Grunkle so that we can go to work. And I walked into Devin's room to go wake him up, and he just wasn't in bed. So I was just like, what the fuck? Where'd he go? I'm like, maybe he fell asleep like on the couch or something. So I walk out to the living room. He's not in there, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then I'll try to figure out where Devin disappeared to. And I turn the corner into the bathroom, and I just see Devin curled up in a ball on the bathroom floor. And I'm just like, oh, found him. Cool. Devin, time to go to work, man. Are you going to wake up and go to work? Yeah. Yeah, and you didn't go to work that day, did you?
No, we didn't. I did go to work.
You did actually go to work?
That was the worst day of work I think I've ever had.
That's why you save your hard drugs for the weekend.
Yeah.
Hot on the
that's-
weekdays, hard drugs on the weekends.
I think that's about the only experience
Yeah.
I think I'll ever do that. Because that was the night that we discovered doing dabs with
The
Coke.
snowball.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
snowballs.
Oh my god.
That was pretty good, though.
And that just made me, it made me so tired but wide awake, and it was awful.
It's so weird how it makes your entire just like throat and chest go numb.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What did you call it? Because you like gummed your entire line because you didn't want to snort it?
Expensive oral gel.
Yeah. I couldn't even imagine gumming an entire line.
I couldn't either. I would
The
feel like
tissue on your gum line definitely disintegrates just a little bit over time. I'll give you that much. It's probably the reason I
teeth are
chipped my
falling out.
front tooth, because I gum so many different kinds of drugs. But that's besides the point. Not admitting to anything.
And real quick disclosure, this podcast is definitely not for anybody that's under the age of 18.
Definitely.
The stuff that we're going to be talking about, we're not talking about this as a way of saying, yes, do this. No, you shouldn't do what we do. We made the decision to do it, but that doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah, we're borderline autistic.
Yeah. Exactly.
No hate on autistic people. I work with them. I have a pass.
That's the equivalent of an N-word pass. It's the R-word pass. There's something so satisfying about saying retard.
Just like a fuck you to all the Karens out there.
Way to knock out so much of our audience so fast, guys.
Yeah, if your name is Karen, fuck you.
All three of our subscribers just left.
Womp womp.
Matt, what are you doing on your phone?
And the worst part is 2 of the subscribers were us.
But yes, we tell about these stories of the nights we've had, so that way you don't have to Fuck, I couldn't breathe.
Thoughts, brother.
That like
Smacks.
no, that like made my throat hurt. So since obviously no one can see what the fuck you're doing, Matt keeps hitting off of his vape and blowing the cloud at me, and it made my throat like burn. That was weird. But yes, we're explaining this so that way you don't have to take drugs in order to see what this is like. We're giving you the description because it's been quite a few.
Yeah, we're pretty experienced, mate.
But have you done ketamine?
No.
I
Have you
shoot up on
even been
ketamine on a
killed, bro?
daily. I straight up shoot up on ketamine on a daily. That's how I survive.
Yo, pussies, don't even smoke crack.
That's Special K though.
Every kiss begins with K.
Who needs a sound machine when you have a Zap?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the jack of all trades, baby.
So it was like a month later though until we had the party here that everyone was here because we
It
had
was.
like 2 more SAS weekends and then the party here.
Yeah, exactly. Before we get into that party, I wanted to backtrack on that military conversation we were having. Funny thing that happened with Devin one day when we were at Holiday. This guy walked in and Devin thought he recognized him. And so he made eye contact with the guy and then went, maybe it isn't him. And went to like look away, but the guy kept looking at Devin. So he was like, oh shit, okay, so maybe this is him. Well, when the guy rounded the corner and Devin could see more than just his head, he saw that he was in full military gear. And he's just like, oh, definitely not who I thought this was. Guy walked up to him, he's just like, hey man, how you been? And, which again confused Devin, thinking, fuck, maybe this is the guy. And he goes, I've been pretty good, man. How you been? He's like, pretty good, pretty good. So, you ever think about joining the military? and Devin just looks at him, he goes, nah, man, I got a bum knee. And then just stares at him. And him and this guy just stare at each other for like half a minute. And Devin goes, and I don't like to follow orders.
What kind of a piece of shit?
I don't know. You just stared me down. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, man.
They're trappers, bro.
Yeah, we're rappers.
They're trappers.
They're rappers.
Oh,
Yeah, trappers with a T.
rappers. Oh,
Like they.
shit.
Hi, how are
Really
ya?
autistic.
No, officers. Hi, how are you?
But anyway, alright, so back to the second party. We were at your guys' house.
You know, everyone was here this month, because we invited Buddy over here for the first time ever. He joined. I think it was like the first time we partied with you, Zach.
Yeah, no, that was.
That was a fun night.
That was the first time I tried sass too. That was crazy.
SAS fucking burns, but it's the greatest feeling in the world.
That was the
Like when you
first
take a
one.
big 2-pointer and the feeling just goes up into your brain.
Yeah, that hurts.
So-
Just a little bit.
The entire right side of my fucking skull just came.
Yeah, don't
So-
do drugs, kids.
So who wants to explain what SAS is?
Greatness.
Sassafras is MDA, which is like Molly, just without the meth.
Yeah, so sassafras is the straight plant. It's an MDMA, which...
MDA.
That's
Okay. Okay.
Nothing like a little digoxin to get you back
Okay,
in the
so that
game.
makes sense.
Yeah, so it's NDA. It's sassafras.
So explain what it does to the brain, Annie.
It gives it a serotonin blast, basically. So it just makes you start to feel really happy. It really kind of lifts up the mood, and it gives you this really relaxed feeling throughout your body to where you kind of want to, melt into the couch or whatever spot you're in.
Sassafras is a couch potato drug.
Definitely is.
Like you sit there and you get light
I
shows
want
all
potatoes.
night.
Yes, light shows are a huge thing because you start to see what's called tracers, which is where it's that effect where the light gets kind of dragged behind it as it moves. You kind of see it a lot in pictures of like taillights on cars. But that kind of hallucination, I guess, is what it would be technically called, is what makes light shows so fun because people are just wearing these gloves that have little LED lights on the end of them that change colors and do different patterns. And as you move them around, it creates some pretty cool visuals that goes along with it. Devin and I do a lot of gloving. We got Zach to get into it, and we also got Annie to try it, which Annie is really good at it for freestyle wise. Super cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, who party fouled?
Who's the one? Is that?
I have no idea who it is.
So by the way, Summer did just try to call me through Snapchat. Sir.
No, but
Something else.
if you were to tell me that like I was
I don't
gonna
know who
like
that is.
clubbing like a year ago, I would have been like, nah, man, you're out of your fucking mind. And then now here I am.
We're not-
EDM trash for life, brothers.
We're not full status yet, but we're making it there. But so like SAS kind of breaks down your barriers, and so it's really easy to talk to people and like cuddle, which is
Cuddle
like basically
puddles.
random
Oh,
people.
yeah.
And so like all of us getting together, taking SAS, and just cuddling all night long, getting light shows. Like you really get close to people.
Yeah, dude, and you just talk. And
Yeah.
you just like, it just, oh, it's
You
so
can talk about
beautiful.
anything and everything. You don't care. Like you just there's no care in the world basically.
The conversations tend to flow more naturally
Definitely.
just because those barriers are broken down, and it's like it's very nice and therapeutic, and it's like almost like our own little version of therapy.
Exactly.
We all get together and just have a good little powwow, and
Snort some drugs.
Hey, man,
That's the main part.
everybody does
Guilty
things
pleasure.
their different ways. What we do doesn't hurt anybody.
We're still a
Exactly.
productive member of society.
Exactly. I
We
pay
all
my
go to work
taxes,
every
my
day.
man.
Exactly. If we want to let loose on a fucking weekend, to let us let loose. That's how I
Exactly.
feel about it.
That's why Colorado's becoming like the promised lands,
Yeah,
man. They're
it
like,
wasn't so expensive to live down there.
Yeah, but you gotta also realize that in states like that where it seems expensive to live there by our standards,
Mhm.
you generally make more in your
True.
jobs out there to make up for the higher living cost.
True. I'm still thinking I want to move down there.
I don't know. There's still some good spots, but
Imagine just being able to go to raves all the time, like go to Red Rocks concerts. Like that's
That'd be-
right there, like an hour away even is not bad.
Which we'll touch on that one here later
Yeah.
about the show that we went and watched. We didn't all.
Yeah, too bad.
There was a thumbtack in my foot.
Oh yeah, that
Oh,
one fell and I
found
lost
it.
it from that. The
Oh,
tapestry
well.
that fell off.
There you go. I found it. That was cool. I wondered what was stabbing me in the foot.
ouchie, ouchie.
But yeah, so the thing is about SAS is it lowers that anxiety that a lot of people will have, especially so when you're talking to people for the first time, you have that real kind of social anxiety of where you're like, what am I going to say? I don't want to seem like weird in front of these people. I want to seem kind of cool. So you think too much about what you're trying to say, which does kind of block up the conversation. But when you're on SAS, you don't really give a shit. So
You have no judgment.
Yeah,
There's
exact-
no care for judgment because you're just yourself.
exactly,
And
you
that's a
just
beautiful thing.
speak like straight from what you think.
Yep.
There's that filter kind of goes away.
This SAS kind of opens your third eye, doesn't it, Annie? Not like LSD and that, but
It
doesn't
brings-
it make it easier to like access that to a point?
It just breaks down your barriers more.
Yeah.
I remember the next day I went to work, and like it still breaks down your barriers a little bit afterwards. And like I just remember a customer came up to me and he asked me like a question. He's like, "Yo, can I do this?" And I just like look at him. I'm like, "I don't give a shit," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm really good at not swearing," and
Yeah.
that just like slipped out. I'm like, "Oh, that's the sass."
But you put your input on it.
SAS is it's a psychoactive drug, right? And so psychotics have been used to treat mental illness for centuries, for years. And if you use that mindfully, just like any other drug that a psychiatrist would give you, it's creating the same components and chemical reactions in your brain that trigger a process of looking within yourself, because the mask of reality is literally torn away, where things so seemingly small and fractile in our daily lives no longer matter, and because they're just free-forming spatial objects in front of you, they don't have any more purpose, and when that purpose is taken away, you have nothing left to look into except for yourself. And when you look that deep into yourself and you're open and aware of how to combat the demons and the angels that live within us, you can access the latent system that people believe to be the pineal gland or the third eye, and go through maybe what is considered an enlightenment process.
Because one night at one of these parties, I was rolling so hard, and one of the effects of SAS is your eyes kind of tend to roll up into your head, because that's how you kind of get, like, it's called REM, rapid eye movement, and that's what SAS is implementing. And I was rolling so hard that my eyes went cross-eyed and up into my head, and it was like I was looking to where the pineal gland would be in my head, and it was just this screaming bright white light. And I've never seen anything like that. It was pretty cool.
Exactly. So, like, scientifically, your pineal gland is the old part of your brain. It lies right in the center. It's believed to be the first part of the brain that was evolved. Like if you were, say, like a tadpole to the frog, that would be what you had as a brain as a tadpole. Here you are now, the full-forming frog, full-forming human. And you have access to many parts of your brain. You don't need access to those old parts of your brain anymore. Your brain is basically above itself. It thinks that it can use what's there, what's quick, what's efficient. And when you're forced to go beyond what you have right before you, when drugs put you to a point where you need a little bit more than what you usually have upstairs in your brain to process what's going on, and you access those old survival methods, you access that fight and flight survival instinct, moment by moment you have to like redirect how you're feeling in order to almost survive. Because what if the energy in the room raises, some sort of stress enters, you don't quite know how to handle it? When you're on drugs, the one thing you're trying to make sure is going on okay is your brain. And that instinct puts you closer and closer to who your human, who your brain was at the beginning of evolution.
That's why it's so easy to freak out on these drugs, is because you're in just that stage of fright or flight. Or fight or flight, sorry.
Yeah, survival mode.
And they say for your pineal gland that that's where your soul lives, basically. And if you believe in that and whatnot, but that's kind of an also interesting fact.
You know what's kind of cool about like tripping, like you think about that word tripping, like you're on a journey, you're on a trip, what are you journeying towards? And science kind of says that you're journeying towards accessing this thriving mode. The whole point is you're trying to journey through this path of survival. How do I get over this mode of surviving, this mode of surviving, this mode of surviving, this mode? And you start from square one. You start with the people around you. You start with judgment. You feel like everyone's watching you and you're just freaking out. But once you get over that, you start to trip harder. And then you're a little less scared about what people see about you, but you're a little bit more scared about how you're acting, like you're twitching, like your body's moving and you don't really know that you don't want it to, your jaw's clenching, and you have to get over that. And you think about it like you're moving through your chakra energies. You're moving through what the human barriers. And when you move through those barriers, when you access that thriving mode, your pituitary gland opens, releasing hormones, releasing that DMT effect that you get on drugs that are not supposed to produce a DMT effect. And then you have nothing but this like unconditional kind of love sort of feeling that's very...
You just feel yourself.
Yeah, it's hard to explain to another person because it's so personal.
It's pleasant because you don't have to worry about any judgment. You don't have to worry about anything like that. You're just yourself. And so it's peaceful. It's like inner peace almost.
Yeah. Doing any sorts of substances like that, setting is such an important thing.
Definitely.
Like, I would never even think about doing anything like that if I was like around people that I thought were sketchy or weird.
Because you can feel their energy, their aura matter,
Yeah,
and
no,
like,
it's
you
a
can read
fucking
those
thing,
vibes,
man.
especially while you're on LSD and
Oh, God.
sass. Like, if people are good or not.
You definitely, you can read the energy, that's for damn sure.
That's why it's safe to remember if you are going to partake in these shenanigans, do it with people you feel comfortable in a safe environment.
Yeah.
Exactly, and you always want to make sure that if you do decide to do it, that you do your research on what you're getting into, because the last thing you want to do is get into something that's not what you think it is. Like a lot of times you hear of people that are selling, instead of marijuana to people, they're selling spice or just straight oregano kind of a thing. And people will do the same thing with other type of drugs, so you have to make sure you know what you're doing and where you're getting it from.
We're in a good situation with our friend group where we get really clean stuff. We get just good stuff. We don't have to worry about it being cut with other stuff or bad drugs in general.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It is quite wonderful.
Even our pot is most dank.
But that's what allows us to do what we do,
and feel comfortable doing it.
Exactly. We wouldn't be able to have any of these stories to tell if it wasn't for the fact that we knew we were being as safe as possible with what we were doing.
If we all died on fentanyl the first night, we wouldn't be even telling the story.
Hell yeah, brother.
Oh shit! But yeah, so that was definitely an interesting night. You know, I had a lot of fun that night.
Definitely.
That was a lot of fun.
It
Just
was
listening to music, you know, going to different places in your head and like rolling hard with your friends and like just being able to get that close and feel that comfortable with almost strangers was just a weird but pleasant feeling.
exactly, and that's what coined the name High Rollers, because the term for when you're on SAS is typically called rolling, and we definitely like to smoke a lot of the marijuana.
Speaking of that, do we want to load another? Speaking of that, weirdly, our friend group has how many gingers in it?
Yeah, one interesting thing.
Like 4 gingers at a time usually.
Yeah, eventually, once we start picking up some traction with this and we get some good amount of viewers, we'll start recording these, and you'll notice that, yeah, there's an unnatural amount of gingers ratio-wise to this group. I mean, out of the what? 1, 2, 3, 4,
have like
5,
12,
6,
I
7,
think.
8 people that are in this room right now.
There's
3 of
three.
them are gingers.
Got a problem with that?
Yeah.
No, that's
We're
a
superior
that's a
race.
rarity.
How
You
many
know,
high
gingers.
rollers
It's
are
not
there?
like it's that
I feel
common.
offended.
There's 10.
There's
You're
10
being
actual
racist.
high rollers.
Yeah.
That's kind of where that name came from, because we were rolling and we were high. It was great times. It was great times.
But then they smoked the hashish.
The SAS night would have been the joining of the 2 groups. The Toastmasters 3000 and then the said High Rollers.
The night we became a tribe.
Because that's when Zach got added to the
Yeah.
High Rollers group chat. And the Toastmasters,
I got knighted.
yeah. The Toastmasters is because Devin and I are old friends. We were both in previous relationships than now, and we lived together. We got a house together, all us 4.
Yeah.
And Devin and his girlfriend broke up while we were all living together, and so then it was just kind of like us 3. But my boyfriend, and he didn't smoke or anything at the time, so Devin and I would just chill downstairs. I don't know how many fucking times I'd be like, "Hey Devin, wanna go smoke?" And he'd be like, "Nah, man." I'm like, "You pussy ass bitch."
Yeah, dude. I'm a baller, man. What can I say?
I missed that. That basement was like the fucking best
Dude,
summer of my
for
life.
real.
That was some fun fucking times.
Yeah.
Man.
So Zach's Devin's best friend lives a block from our house and just fucking walks over every single night, every day for a whole summer. And we all just fucking sit in a circle and smoke down in our basement and laugh and talk about stories and things that were meaningless.
It was like a real that 70s show fucking
Yeah.
circle. It was
Yeah,
tight.
Incense just
Yeah,
flaring.
dude, and we were straight sitting in a half circle.
That's kind of what we're in right now.
Yeah,
We're the big
exactly.
portion around the table.
Exactly,
Stoner
dude.
crib AF.
And we would just talk about how we wanted to do this, no matter what. No matter what, we wanted to get together and be able to just sit in a group and talk and chat. And it would be so cool if more people would do this.
Yeah, dude.
Well-
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, we always wanted more people.
Yeah.
to
We
come around,
manifested
but,
it. We were like, fuck
Exactly.
you guys, we want this so bad.
Well, it was weird because before this happened, we were all connected. I had a house. Well, Tanner, Matt, and me all had a house. It was called the Halfway House. It's still in. But we had a halfway house, and so every weekend was $200 on alcohol rager there. And one time Annie was moving to Boise. We had a going away party, and Zach, Annie, Devin, not Colton. Colton wasn't cool enough to be there, but they all came over.
That was
and
when I
we
was
partied
with my
hard. It was
ex,
fun.
and I didn't have a social life.
We were all with exes that we don't want to talk about then.
Ugh.
But so we've always just been weirdly connected.
Mhm.
Zach and I went to elementary school since kindergarten.
Yeah, we've known each other for fucking
A
ages.
long time. Cooper just randomly showed up. His truck broke down in front of my house one day. But so we all had old friend groups, and even our old friend groups, we all dipped in together at times. But we all weren't together all at the same time. It was weird. And so our friend groups all ditched out. The people that were trash, stupid narcissists, got rid of the bad in our group. And then now it's just been the high rollers, all the good has came out, and it's just a fun environment with no judgment, we can do whatever we want and not fear trying to one-up another person, even though we try that all the time because we're assholes. But it's just nice. It's really nice.
Yeah. Not sorry about it, but shameless plug coming up. See, I've known Devin pretty much all of my life, and Devin was friends with Zach during high school, so I eventually started gaming with Zach quite a bit, and there was a lot of nights of me, Devin, and Zach playing some Xbox, and we we did it so much, it kind of is what started us wanting to do a podcast as High Rollers, is because me, Devin, and Zach actually tried starting a podcast before to kind of go along with some gaming videos that we had posted to YouTube, which Exabachi on YouTube. See,
Don't follow
link in
it.
description.
Trash.
But anyway.
Do that again. I have Xbox.
I can't game anymore, man. It's just too disconnected when you're gaming. I miss it though. I used to have a lot of fun gaming.
Yeah, I've kind of fallen out of love with it.
I mean, the only time I really enjoy gaming anymore nowadays is if I'm playing some single-player game that I'm pretty into the story.
I wish I could play Borderlands 3. I'm still going to come over and play Borderlands 3.
Great fucking game. I love Borderlands 3.
Same.
Oh, it's amazing. But the only other time I game is if I'm playing with other people online, because at that point I can joke around and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it's really fun. Comedy's always the best thing.
We're all comedians.
We are all comedians. Or we think we are, but I don't know. Maybe we're just too high.
Honestly, that could be it too.
You know, little both. But anyway, so we were going to talk about the show that we saw in Denver. At Red Rocks stadium that's there. We we didn't go as a whole group. Part of the group went to the first show.
Because that fucking drill.
Yeah, and
my
then
last drill screwed me out of an Alice in Wonderland concert.
Yeah, it was a great show. Like Cade was saying, we went and saw Alice in Wonderland, and it was. Oh,
it was phenomenal.
It was a pretty big group. A lot of other people were there, but in terms of the High Rollers, the people that were there the first night was me, Devin, Tanner, Matt, Grunkle, Katie,
Bree and Tyler.
and then Bree and Tyler were at that show. Long night. It was weird.
Great night.
I was on SAS that night.
I was on sass and acid that night.
Oh, yeah, dude.
He was
You were
picking things off the
freaking
bench.
out.
Oh yeah, Matt was an interesting character at this show. Do you want to say some of the shit you were doing,
I
or
don't even remember.
yeah, do you even remember some of the shit you were doing?
No, I
That's how you
remember
know it was a
mostly
good
the show.
Yo, can I try one of these?
Yeah, man. Here you go. There it is.
Oh
Yeah, go for it.
Can I try one
As
of
many
these?
as you like.
But
Terrible boyfriend.
yeah, at one point you were rocking back and forth. Is that right?
yeah, I
kind of
think
like
it
a
might have
circle.
been.
Yeah, you were kind of like tilting your head in a circle. You're like rotating your head in the circle, and your body was kind of following with your head. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. I thought you were gonna get like really dizzy.
Nah.
Then apparently, I guess you were laying underneath. The way that the bleachers were is there was the concrete floor that you would stand on, and then a little wooden ledge, and that's where you'd sit. Well, Matt was laying underneath that little wooden seat.
I swear to
and
God, I
like-
was not, because I was looking up at the
No,
stars.
you were straight
you were-
staring at the underside of the bench.
There's
You
no
weren't
way.
even looking at
I'm
the
touching
stars.
the
I would get it
floor.
if you were looking at the stars, but no, you were just picking at the wood, and you were just staring at it, just like.
You were tripping. You must have been tripping into like the wood grain, thinking it was stars.
That might have happened.
Oh, fucking.
That is
ridiculous.
within the realm of possibility.
Beautiful show.
Wonderful night.
Yeah.
And I went. Well, Matt or no,
The
not
party
Matt.
afterwards was great too.
Yeah, the party afterwards was interesting. We saw someone use these things called fireflies, which that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
The only part that was unfortunate was when I went to bed that night. About an hour later, I woke up to Grunkle and a friend of his, no, not a friend of his, Tyler, holding me down, and I look over and I just see a needle in Grunkle's hand right at my ear. And he had been warning me he was going to pierce my ears when we went to this show, but I didn't think he was actually going to do it. And I couldn't resist, because if I tried to struggle, they would have just held me down. There was two of them against just one of me. And there was a third one, I guess, waiting in case I did struggle.
Was it
So,
Devin?
So,
huh?
No, I was just watching.
No.
they forcefully penetrated you.
Yeah, so they pierced, they threw these needles through my ears, which hurt like a son of a bitch. Hated that. It was funny because every time they broke through like a wall of cartilage, I wouldn't like scream or anything. I would just go, Ow. 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 Ow.
How many times did they fucking stab you?
They had to break through like 3 walls of cartilage in each ear.
That's what happened when I pierced Tanner's ears. I had to like push so hard for like 30 seconds, and it just finally popped through.
Yep,
and
exactly.
then Annie brings like a nice needle and just slices straight through my ear.
It was a hollow needle.
Yeah, that works a lot better.
Here's a pro fucking tip: use a hollow needle if you're
Yep.
gonna pierce your
Would not
ears
disagree.
at home, because it takes out a chunk of skin, whereas a solid needle just separates the tissue.
Would recommend.
Yeah, definitely. That hurt like a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
What really sucked was they pissed me off because they told me that they were going to have studs for me to wear as they were piercing my ears. So I was like, all right, fine. That's kind of what let me cave in, and I just agreed with it. When they showed me what they actually put in, it was these red roses. Just like the kind that Annie has that's like a kind of pinker color.
The gauges, yeah.
Yeah. So I had to go around through Denver wearing those. I went to a dispensary wearing those.
Yeah, it was funny because I had forgotten about it the next morning, and like I looked at his ear and it looked like he just had like a dry drop of blood on his ear. When I first looked at it, I was just like, dude, why is your ear bleeding?
Yeah, because
shit.
yeah, because definitely had like 2 hours of sleep, and when they woke him up, they're just like, "Hey, look at Colton's ears. Did you see what we did?" And he's just staring at him, and he goes, "No, what's up with his ears?" And they're like, "Really, look at his ears." And then that's when he realized that they were pierced.
Yeah, I saw the roses.
So like a month later, Tanner, Buddy, and I went down to the same concert because they redid it. And I don't remember it, but I know it was awesome. Thanks to Sassafrats.
Yeah, that's kind of always the issue when you go to a show, because there's just so much stimulation.
It's so intense.
Oh yeah, and it takes very little to reach that. I mean, someone who normally can take like 5 tabs of acid for a normal trip would take like 1 or 2 tabs at a show, and they'd be just as hard into the trip.
Just because the environment's so great there. Everyone's just there for love and like to have a good time. Like there's not drama. It's
No,
great.
exactly.
Care in the world.
Yeah, because everyone's all on
Everyone's
the
on
same
a drug.
shit. Yeah, exactly. Which makes them really fun. I mean, I definitely recommend going to check out like EDM shows and things like that. Like even if EDM isn't really your thing, I'd give it at least a try, because a lot of people, I feel like, just don't listen to EDM because it has this kind of negative stigma to it.
Connotation.
Yeah, because it's not real music kind of a thing.
Right.
But I've tried to make that stuff.
It's a culture.
Yeah,
it's
festivals and
tough.
like EDM raves and stuff nowadays is like modern day Woodstock
Yeah.
to a point. Like
Pretty much,
just
yeah.
love, peace.
Hippies everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
It was
Like-
funny because we were leaving and there's a line for the porta potties and this guy comes running down the hill and he's like, "I need a fucking piss. Can I use the bathroom?" And we're like, "Yeah, man, go to the bathroom." And he's in there. He's like, "Oh shit, I'm peeing on myself." It's so funny.
That's what you decide to tell as your example of peace, love, and harmony.
Yep.
No, just everyone there just doesn't care, and they're all
That
just
was peace,
there.
love, and harmony because there was a line and no one was an asshole and said, "Get to the end of the line." Everyone's like, "Yeah, man, you go take your piss."
And then he felt so comfortable, he just shouted, "I'm pissing on myself!"
I mean, that could have.
Yo, my man's taking a piss.
That could have been a little bit of the drugs, but it's okay.
No,
Yeah.
we went and everyone was just there, and I mean, we had one guy, he was passing around a funnel cake.
Okay. So hold on a second. What he's talking about is this guy was saying that there was LSD on a funnel cake, but I'm going to tell you right now, there wasn't LSD on that funnel cake. He was just saying that.
God damn.
Yeah, he was trying to see who would take it, but no, there wasn't any LSD
Of
on
course,
there.
Devin took it.
I didn't want to either.
So, Matt, what's your perspective
The concerts?
on the funnel cake? What were you going to say?
Great.
Yeah, I gave the rest to Matt.
Did you get a placebo effect on your
No,
acid?
actually, I really didn't. I just was like, I started eating, I was like, oh no, I shouldn't have ate this. This isn't settling well.
What were you on that night?
Acid and
flip.
sass.
Oh, I've been told that if you eat something that you really love while you're on SAS, you can never eat it again because it will be like too good.
That's
and
a
it's
lie.
not the same.
Yeah.
Oh, Tanner, you would know, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I eat a lot.
When
of
I'm on-
Taste buds
all
are
the
just
time.
destroyed on sass.
When
Like, it
I'm on
takes a couple
acid,
days.
I
Yeah,
can't
like,
eat. It makes me feel
Yeah.
really
What?
Cigarettes. I
ugh.
smoke
Ramen
menthol
on that,
cigarettes,
or
and
on
they don't
sass.
taste like it.
Oh, hold on a second.
Repeat that, Tanner.
Ramen while rolling is fabulous.
Is that your favorite? Because I was going to ask
It's
you.
pretty delicious.
We're all broke bitches.
I don't know. I haven't
True.
rolled with money to where I have groceries. Now,
Yeah,
God damn
it's not an example as to what we truly spend our money on. It's not like we're.
No, car parts are expensive, man.
Yeah, we like race cars and stuff. Don't worry, we budget for our drugs. We're smart about it. We
Yeah.
budget by eating ramen. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like one of the funny things about
Yeah, way
the
more.
shows is there's an actual written rule that you're not supposed to smoke at all. Like you can't vape in front of the security guards, nothing like that. But every single time you go to a show, you're going to see clouds of smoke constantly be rolling. And it's going to be a mixture of cigarette smoke, vape smoke, and marijuana smoke. So just know that if you do go to one of the shows, you're going to be around a lot of pot smoke. So you might get a contact high, but nothing too crazy.
Who goes to a concert sober though?
Huh?
Who goes to a concert sober though?
You'd be surprised. Some people just generally want to go to a show.
Some people go there and just drink too.
Yeah, there's a lot of party
Yeah,
people
I don't know
too.
why you'd want to do that. Get drunk and see a bunch of flashing lights.
Oh.
I don't know, but there was definitely a lot of people that walked past me that were carrying a bunch of beer cans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did see that, and I don't know. It's just not for me, I guess.
Cocaine and alcohol.
Yes.
That
might be what
that
they
might
were
be what they're
But
doing.
that's like a rap show, you know? Like, you do that, like, at a rap
Yeah,
concert or
definitely.
something like
Well,
that.
you need that to stay up, man. You're like
And
dancing
acid
around
does a
and
pretty
shit.
good job at keeping you up, but
True.
Yeah.
Oh God, I just remembered the terrifying thing about when we went to our show, the first one. Me and Devin got passed through security. Me, Devin, Matt, and Tanner got through security, and then all of a sudden we realized that nobody else was with us, and we're just like, what the fuck? Well, Grunkle and Katie were sitting there when they went to buy the tickets. They bought them for the wrong day, and they wouldn't let them like transfer the tickets over. So they had to try to sell those tickets as fast as they could, and then use that money to buy another ticket so that they could go in to see that show.
did they end up selling the tickets that night?
They did end up.
Oh,
Well,
damn.
yeah, they ended up getting into the show, and then
Spending an extra $300.
yeah, it was not cheap for them to get in. They missed Medicine perform, but they showed up I think right before.
We missed
E.
Wookiee
Cali,
because we
or
were
E.
Cali. They
with-
showed up that's when they showed up was during E. Cali.
We
Yeah.
saw Wookiee though.
We were late because we missed Wookiee.
Yeah, we missed
Yes,
it.
we definitely missed Wookiee. We were in the parking lot when Wookiee was on.
Yeah.
Wookiee was pretty sick.
It was funny when I was going to this concert because like I had to tell my boss I'm getting time off and told him where I'm going. And as I was leaving that evening, he's like, they're all like, oh, so what's your drug of choice for this rave? And I go, man, I'm just going high on life. I'm just going for the music. Turns out I was not just going for the music.
It was weird when my dad said that he has heard of Alice in Wonderland. That threw me for a loop.
Yeah, because I hadn't even heard of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I didn't
I'm
either.
An uncultured swine.
Yeah, well, my dad only listens to like country, so for him to have heard of Alice in
It's his
Wonderland,
guilty pleasure. He listens to EDM on the side.
maybe.
When no
Shit.
one else is in the car, I beatbox the dubstep. I sing dubstep.
I don't
What
know.
if your dad's just like snorting sass in his car? Just, like, rolling tits, just like.
Oh my goodness.
God damn it.
My dad fucks.
Oh, dude, it was insane when my dad found out that I smoked. That was an interesting conversation because I was applying for a job and I had to do a UA for that job, and I had actually kept myself clean for a whole month. Like, I sat there with Devin and Zach every time they'd smoking. I'd just sit there and go,
It's
fuck.
torture. I've been living the past 3 years of my life like that.
Yeah, exactly. And when I went in, it was still a faint enough line for it to count as a negative. So I
Like
couldn't.
you failed?
Yeah, that I failed. Or yeah, that was positive
Okay,
for
positive,
THC.
yeah.
And
I
so
learned that.
Yeah, well, the part that sucked was the guy that was referring me so that I would get the job was my dad's neighbor. So my dad would have known if I didn't get the job. So I just had to tell him, and I called him up, and I was like, yeah, so I don't think I'm going to get this job. And he goes, why? And I said, well, I failed the UA. And he's like, what the fuck? With what? What did you do? And I was like, well, I smoked pot at a party like a month ago, and I thought it was going to be out of my system, but it turns out it wasn't. And he's like, okay, I believe it. I don't think you're a stoner, which, by the way, I had been smoking for years before that point. And he's like, I don't think you're a stoner. I think you're telling the truth. This was just like a one-time thing. And I was like, yeah, Dad, it's terrible, man.
Yeah, I kind of had to tell my family that I smoked pot after I got kicked out of the military for it. Which sucks, because, like, I support the military 100%. It was just not for me.
My family knew.
Yeah, his family knew before my family did. I was scared to tell my mom, but she wasn't that upset. Cried a little bit.
Oh, my mom still
A little
doesn't
bit.
know.
I was like, it's just pot, man.
Ooh, yeah, my mom still doesn't know I smoke pot. My
You know
dad
how
was...
nice it is knowing, like,
My
my
dad
entire
recommends
family
it.
knows that I smoke.
I know, but my mom would
But he doesn't
legitimately kill
smoke.
me.
Because I can just go to my Sunday dinner, trashed, and eat some damn good home cooked food, better than Wendy's or the cheese tortillas I usually eat.
Actually, now that I think about it, my mom might know that I smoke.
They probably do. They
because-
just don't want to admit it.
Well, I've definitely showed up to her house stoned out of my mind before, especially when Devin's with me, because when him and I are riding up to go see my mom, we smoke the whole way there. So we get pretty blitzed by the time we show up at my mom's, and I'm just like, hi, Mom.
No, I'm not high, Mom.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't stay very long, though. We eventually just go like, all right, well, I'm going to go see my sister. I'm going to go stay the night over there. And then peace out, because then we go smoke more with my sister.
So how long has this group been together now? Like 4 or 5 months?
I can
Give or take.
I can tell you.
And it seems like,
It's a solid group.
Yeah.
I love it.
like there's
Let
been
me
no
look at it.
drama in this group. Like everything's just handled. We all respect each other's barriers. You can be yourself. Like it's literally our tribe. This is more family than, or great family is what this is.
Yeah,
So-
for real.
So fun little fact here. Today is October 21st when we record this, and the group chat was made on July 6th.
Damn.
So July, August,
We're
September,
doing pretty
October.
good. We
Yeah.
haven't lost anyone yet.
No.
Our old group kept losing people.
You know what's great? I love looking at these like most things, except only Kate and Annie hold all of them in the group chat. Annie is most sticky, which means she has used the most stickers in the group.
Is that what it means?
Yeah.
I'm also the only female.
Well, besides Katie
That sounds
and
bad.
Bree,
Oh, wait.
That
there's
sounds
3
bad.
there.
That was
She is my girlfriend.
it's like a fusion of the Toastmasters and a halfway house, so you can imagine how mature we all are.
The halfway house was not mature.
Uh,
Yeah, that was fun. I got branded there once.
Oh, the grossest news ever. Snap, crackle, pot.
Which Annie watched with her other boyfriend. Watched me get branded. It was hilarious.
Yep.
That was the night. That was the first night we actually all kind of hung out together. Besides
Yeah.
Colton, because Colton's a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could yeet to that one.
Oh, my bad.
Womp womp.
Just gonna sneak right past you, bud.
Rude.
I love you. Don't fucking stare at me, please.
That time we weren't playing on our phones.
That was Importante stuff. That was the Snapchat group chat I was looking up. I was doing
that's good.
fact-checking work over here. I was contributing.
He's our computer geek.
Yeah.
Shout out to Colton. He's really pulling the train. We just kind of talk.
Truth.
Yeah, but, you know, this is pretty much all we do anyway, which is kind of why we decided to record the podcast. You know, all we do is sit around and bullshit for hours, so why not
Why not
share
record it?
Yeah, why not share some experiences with people?
Maybe show people if you're going to partake in these how to do it safely, so you don't OD and like ruin it for everyone.
Exactly. And
Oh no, I'm fucking ODing on fentanyl again.
and it's not like we're going to be only talking about drugs, because there's only so much we can really talk about before it's just repetitive, you know? So, and there'll be some other interesting shit that we'll talk about.
Like
I mean,
butt stuff.
Yeah, exactly, you know? Like, that's some pretty cool shit.
Treating the booty like Pearl Harbor.
It just so happens. It just so happens, I think it's by chance, that most of our weekends, not all of them, but a lot of our weekends are filled with a little bit of drugs.
Oh yeah, exactly. So more times than not, we'll have a story.
We're experimenting.
Yeah, but I mean, shit. Even in this podcast, we talked about the military for a good chunk of that. Why'd you just throw a lighter at me?
Because you needed it.
What?
Matt's the R of the group.
Yeah, he's that little kid that sometimes I have to give a good old whap whap to.
Bet you hit me, I'm hitting you.
Nah, man, that's
Hey,
violence.
You're doing a good job.
Tanner, you're a different story.
But
Well,
anyway,
we've been going for just about an hour.
yeah,
It's probably
yeah,
pretty good.
1 hour 30 seconds. So I think we're good to wrap it up here. Anybody want to plug anything since I plugged something?
Oh, I'm gonna be plugging something.
Oh.
I'd like to do a series.
Whoa!
Okay, any plugs or shout outs?
I would like to do a serious plug to our other YouTube channel, Demonetized.
Oh yeah, that's
Go
right.
give that shit a check out. It is fucking tight. You won't regret it.
No, that's on SoundCloud.
Is it
The Demonetized podcast is on SoundCloud, the 2 episodes that we have. But the videos, fuck off! The videos that we have featuring the Demonetized group is on Exabachi's channel.
Yeah, go check that out.
EXOBOCCI.
And if you like this podcast, make sure to like and subscribe so we know to keep doing more.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you hit the little bell, it'll notify you. Because honestly, the beginning few podcasts probably aren't going to be on any kind of schedule. Not until we kind of get this whole thing down. But eventually it will be a schedule-ish kind of deal.
But the more support we have, the more we're going to want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Feel free to leave a comment. We'll try and get back to you. Starting small, all that good stuff.
Yeah, any topics anyone wants us to cover, any questions, anything like that, we will go through the comments. We'll probably read one every podcast.
Give us suggestions on what we should do and make better for our podcast. That'd be a lot of help, too.
Yeah, eventually we'll have more than just one mic in the center of the room.
We just broke
But-
bitches.
Yeah, exactly. We're working with what we got. But I don't know. I don't feel like it'll be too bad. I mean, I can already tell you the sound quality is probably not the best.
Give me your fucking money!
Yeah.
I just had a fucking golden idea. So if we get 100 subscribers, we should let the subscribers choose the next podcast.
Oh, that's a
Get
good idea.
Topic and be, we can start a poll and all that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Agreed.
We'll definitely gear it pretty well along with our listeners,
We'll
because
discuss.
you guys are the whole reason that we're able to even do it. So it'd be pretty cool.
So if you are listening, all 3 of you, thank you.
Oh god damn it! But
And that's a wrap.
yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching,
Adios.
listening, whatever. Goodbye.
Adios.
See ya.
Bye.
Pussy Riot!
Woo.